Good evening. Welcome to the Milford Township Municipal Building and the Monthly Planning Commission meeting. This time I call the meeting of October 5th, 2021 to order. All please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be sure to sign the attendance sheet back there on the round table there for the record. Next, I'd like to introduce the members of the Planning Commission and our support staff. Starting on my far left is Bob Reed. Next to him is Doug Prozan, Tony Sitter, Linda McCabe. Starting on my right, coming in towards me, is Denise Pizarro, the recording secretary. Next to her is Dave Skelly, and next to me here is Pete Tabea. In the back on the left side is Jennifer Herniason, Township Council, and on the right back here, the young lady is Julie Maggio, the Assistant Zoning and Development Officer, and Matt Puzz, the Zoning and Development Officer. And I'm Gene Stromeyer, the Chairman of the Planning Commission. Before we begin, I'll call for a motion of the minutes last month to be accept last month's meeting as written.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Milford Planning Commission is a recommending body that hears testimony, asks and answers questions, deliberates, and passes our recommendations on to the Milford supervisors who make the final decisions on the issues brought before us. The subdivision or land development plan discussed tonight, if acted on by the Planning Commission, will be considered by the Township Supervisors at their regular meeting to be held on Tuesday, October 26th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in this room here. The one and only item on the agenda for tonight is a land development plan. It's for Mod Wash at 26th, West 26th Street in Erie. A land development plan to show the construction of a car wash with associated parking and stormwater management facilities located along the north line of West 26th Street, east of Peninsula Drive and tract number 16. Someone here to represent that. Please come up to the podium here and give us your name and address.
Hi, my name is Mark Zimmerman. Work for Morris Knowles and Associates, address 443 Athena Drive, Delmont, Pennsylvania, 15626. Thank you today for taking the time to meet with us. We are proposing a 4,464 square foot car wash at the along 26th Street to the east of the Long John Silver's and west of the Arby's property. I'm just going to take you through the car wash traffic kind of circulation plan to kind of give you an idea of how this plan operates. It is a car wash. It's a little different than a retail store. So our only access for this site will be off West 26th Street. It'll be a full access that we are and have submitted plans to PennDOT for that HOP permit. They have approved our plan except for a couple agreements that need to be recorded at the courthouse. So they are an approval of this access and location. So when the patron enters this site, they will travel back through this access drive, and on the left-hand side, there will be some employee parking as well as a bug prep area. The bug prep area is for the patrons to park there, and they'll have self-service canisters out front where you could get out, and there'll be a brush there, and you scrub the front of your car, help you get the bugs off. If you'd like to use that, you can. Once you're done with that, you continue forward and into the pay kiosk area. There'll be 3 pay kiosks, one of which will be a VIP membership pay kiosk, in which you will have a monthly membership fee that you could pay and then get unlimited car washes throughout the month. There'll also be license plate readers back here that they can read your license plate as you go through and understand that, yeah, you have this access. There will be a pay attendant here, an employee located here. It is a cashless system. This will help facilitate people going through the pay kiosk, not waste a lot of time, and help everybody facilitate through the pay area and into the car wash. So once you've paid, you'll continue through, and if you get to this point and you're like, I don't want a car wash, there is an escape lane here that the pay attendant can kind of just let you go through. You don't have to pay anything and you can leave. So then as you enter the car wash, there'll be another employee here who'll help you guide you onto the conveyor belt type system, line up your wheel, tell you put it in neutral, all that good stuff. As you go through here and exit, you'll have the opportunity to make a right into these vacuum space areas. Those are free vacuums that are included as part of your car wash, if you choose to do so. If not, you can continue straight and back out to West 26th Street to leave. If you do choose to get a vacuum, you can get the vacuum and then exit by going this way and back out to West 26th Street. So all traffic will be contained on the commercial corridor of West 26th Street. There'll be no traffic onto the side streets or to the rear. We have received comments from GPI, as well as the Erie County Conservation District, as well as staff, and we believe we can address all those comments. We didn't see anything there that would change this plan in any catastrophic manner. And with that, I will send it over to you and answer any questions you may have.
Is this, have you done this for other, these people in other locations?
Yes, there's one actually being built in Harbor Creek Township on Buffalo
Okay,
Road.
same exact design as this?
That one had two-way parking just because it was a smaller property. So they did the two-way parking there instead of the serpentine like this. But this type of circulation down in Hermitage, there is one like that being built right now, and there's a couple other ones with this circulation plan.
Okay. Having seen the Delta Sonic up on Peach Street on a Saturday afternoon, and the lines of cars trying to get into that place, and this is a single lane in back to where they splits off, right there, you know,
Yep.
where the turn is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have like probably 4 lanes all the way. You could end up with cars waiting in line, not very long, but waiting in line to get into the place off on 26th Street where the turning lane for Peninsula Drive is just starting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have cars crossing over that lane going in back there, trying to get out after they're done, right there,
Yep.
trying to get out of the place. I see the potential, not the potential for mass confusion there on a day when people are thinking about washing their car for Mother's Day, say, or, you know, whatever, you know, on so.
Sure.
And having traffic lined up going down, or going to the east, going west, but coming from the east on 26th Street.
And that is a valid concern. What this system offers, and I'm not sure if the Delta
Sonic.
A Delta Sonic one does it as well. But this type of system, you actually have, can fit 4 cars inside the conveyor system. So as one comes in, it gets so far down, and then another one can enter.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty quick system. There's also an office or a site manager that'll be seated here, being able to keep an eye on traffic. So we'll have 3 employees, 1 station here, 1 station here, and then 1 in the office that looks out this way to kind of monitor this area. If there is a traffic concern or confusion, he will go out there and direct traffic. And what also can happen is this system, you can kind of dial it up a little bit. It's not as great of a wash, so you don't like to do it, but you can dial it up to have these cars start to cycle through instead of 3 minutes, 2 minutes from when you pay to when you exit. So as this is kind of like a constant flow of cars based on I think they call it an automatic express conveyor car wash. So that system does lend itself to if you need to key it up, you're able to do so. And hopefully with the Buffalo Road one and this one and Delta Sonic, that it'll relieve some of that traffic congestion, hopefully, and they're looking to do more.
That really didn't give me a very warm and fuzzy
Okay.
feeling.
Yeah, I understand. It's not Chick-fil-A, but I understand car wash, you know, there are people.
Yeah.
I have a question. The area north of the, I'm gonna call it north of the detention pond,
Yes.
that's on a separate parcel?
This here?
Yeah, that's part of that long strip that goes out to Peninsula Drive?
Yes. Yeah, that is being
Is
purchased.
that proper? Does that need to be included in this plan? The reason I say this is I owned it and I sold it to these people.
Oh.
I don't wanna, vote on something that, you know, I was involved in, so
Sure.
I'll have to abstain.
We are not doing any work on that property as part of this plan.
But I wonder why is it part of this, is what I guess I'm asking.
It's here because the seller offered all 4 of these parcels, and our client is buying them all at this point, but not doing any
So-
consolidation or
so the-
subdivision.
The people that own it now are not gonna be involved in the future?
Correct, correct.
Well, then I guess I can go.
Okay. Yeah, and right now, there's no plan to do anything else on the property. We're leaving everything else as is and just working on the car wash and then.
If you could back up your retention pond
Mhm.
further back, further to the north, it would allow you more area to ingress and egress off of 26th Street, which would help you. That's why, Doug, I don't know if that's why you were asking what that parcel is behind the retention pond, but if you could move everything to the north, it would give you a longer access area for cars to get in and out on your own property.
Mhm.
The area that is 24 inches wide to ingress and egress out, that's 24 by 30. Coming in, the very tip. As soon as you come in off of 26th Street,
Mhm.
that area right there is 24 by 30. It's a 30-foot setback, 24 inches
Oh,
wide.
yep.
If you could push everything back further, it would allow you more area for cars to get in and out on your own property, because the 24 by 30, when you're done doing your business, is a smaller area.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
40
it's
feet
an
wide.
idea, I don't know if it'll work for you.
Sure.
It's 40 feet wide, you'd be gaining on the north side.
Right, and I think part of the process here is to keep the stormwater pond away from the patrons here. Now, I think we could gain, you're right, we could gain some access there, but I think we actually need to narrow this down as it is, which we could narrow this down and still expand this way, but if we start to enter onto this property, that gets us into a new round of kind of
You see what I'm
paperwork. Absolutely.
You're bottlenecking yourself on 26th Street,
Mm-hmm.
which is bad for business, and also it could be a problem.
Absolutely. I see no reason why we can't skinny this up. Right now, it's pretty wide. We could skinny that up, have it run more like this, and still push this back to give that more room. Yeah, we'll do that.
Would there be any consideration to having an exit road down that narrow strip out on the Peninsula Drive?
And down this way?
Yes, sir.
I think they were looking at keeping traffic here as opposed to doing the side streets near the residential area. But if,
It is?
I think this is residential back there.
Yeah, it's zone commercial.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Peninsula Drive.
I'm sorry. I was thinking there was residential back here. Oh,
Because
this is
eventually.
Cody Moore of Hutton. He's the developer and represents the owner.
Here,
Mm-hmm. This piece here.
you'd have to get access granted here for one,
Mm-hmm.
and then, putting a driveway in and out, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, just out.
Yeah, yeah. And the PennDOT will only allow it to be an exit, turning north.
For here.
Turning north.
Okay.
This one can only turn west.
But back to the idea of moving the retention pond.
Rather do
You're
it
gonna,
here?
to develop the rest of it, you're gonna need retention ponds anyways, so perhaps you could merge the two developments using that retention pond or maybe a little bit larger.
Mm-hmm,
Cause you're gonna need it in the future anyways, so.
that's true. What do you say about the access here or?
You know, at some
Here.
point, the property, the piece of property just to the west of your plot, the green plot, is pretty much, once this is developed, this portion right here is kind of landlocked. So if you're gonna ever do anything with it, you're gonna have to put access in off of Peninsula Drive.
Absolutely.
The idea is to give them as much flexibility with, you know, what they wanna design on the access land. If we dictate that, then it takes a little bit of that away, but we just have to work to make it the most,
You're minimizing it now.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
minimize, giving them the option that they can control their access point if they need it, you know, somewhere specific. Once you put in those improvements, then we're starting more setbacks for them and other things.
I guess ultimately they would look to subdivide this out and then subdivide this out.
Okay, but that one has has access to that side street there,
Mm-hmm.
but this one technically doesn't have access to it from any direction.
Not at all.
Right, but it would have frontage to put access there.
They
It
never
dead
worked to develop this
Dead end here into the
access
woods.
point in the future.
It was a road at one time.
A long time ago.
Okay.
Right now,
I've
you
seen
said
toilets
that
come out of
the,
the Elks
north of the retention pond, that you're purchasing that, but that's not on this plan right now.
Correct, we're not looking to do any work on that property now.
But you're purchasing it and adding it to this parcel?
Ultimately, when we subdivide, it'll take this piece and I think add it to here and then put these pieces and add it to this
Okay,
piece.
so the intent is not to include that strip now?
Right, and just leave the green
Just, yeah, it'll
space.
be subdivided off, and basically the tenant will lease this portion of the property so they can maintain and be responsible for taking care of that area.
Well, if that's your plan, if that's the ultimate plan, then why wouldn't you wanna move the retention basin back right now? Subdivide it right now and move it back and move the whole thing back, probably 60 feet
Is there any setbacks
or
here for
40
them
feet?
from going back further with this pond?
20 feet.
20-foot setback, I think, is only,
Yeah,
that would put it here.
You got this
until
Well,
one.
according to this is 24, about an inch is
Yeah.
24 feet wide here, so this, you've
Yeah.
got,
But this is
well, you got 40 feet from here to there.
Up to the commercial, right up to
Mhm.
the commercial zoning.
So if they're asking if we can kind of gain more stacking by bringing this back
Mhm.
and opening up some more room here,
No, the
No,
room
more
that-
room here, from the road back.
yeah.
If you look at it
To
here,
push
the
everything back.
bottleneck is gonna be here.
Mhm.
So if you could take this whole thing and shift it backwards,
From, like,
it'll
this
allow
point
you
back.
more, it'll take this whole thing back and allow you less bottleneck.
40
Here's
feet,
where
so
the
we gotta
problem
give you
is.
two cars.
It's coming on the street here and in and out here. If you could shift everything backwards, it would
Mhm.
probably benefit you guys.
Well, I think,
40 feet back.
I think if you
Yeah.
just move the retention pond and create a queue area for cars to queue up, I don't think you need to touch the front at all.
Now, that might work too, turn the
Like,
queue
you're gonna
thing
need
this
that
way.
retention area in the future anyways.
Yeah,
That works.
Is there any,
so we could skinny this up.
Move.
If, maybe this is a question for Matt, sorry. Just on the sequence of events and administrative. Matt, if we move this detention pond back and now we're including these two pieces of property, can we still submit this plan as the developer, with a detention pond on two pieces of property? If it's
You would
the
need
same-
to have it subdivided prior to,
You have to subdivide it first and then.
correct, yes, because the improvement would not be on
Okay.
the original lot.
And that's where we get into the seller needing to sign something
Then
we
you have to
have.
consolidate the lot. You're not gonna have a detention
Yeah.
pond on two lots.
But it's a
Correct.
separate parcel, so.
You'd have to consolidate
Right,
two lots.
that's essentially what he's asking, yeah.
Right.
So there's
And
a, I
so
guess
it
there's a
shouldn't be
conflict with the timing of us developing, design it, and then being able to subdivide it on our own.
No, it should-
Prior, or working with the current owners to get that done prior.
They show that as being
I
part of
guess
this
at
parcel.
this point, just administratively wise, so the seller doesn't want to subdivide any of this or consolidate it because they don't know if this will get approved. And they won't, and they'll have to sign the subdivision consolidation plan in order for us to modify the property lines. But they don't wanna do that if we get denied for the car wash, and then they've already, yeah, it is, it's a catch-22. And then they've had all this consolidated and changed, then the car wash doesn't go through and Hutton doesn't end up buying the property, then they have new property lines that they don't want. So if there's a way that we could run those concurrently, but I don't know administratively if that's possible.
Well, not to tie you down, but do you have some idea what the rest of the property is gonna be used for?
Not at this point now,
You don't?
yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say that would be the time to amalgamate, put it all together.
Sure, yeah, I don't think the
It's
real
tough
estate's
because it does, you know, a little, some of this is gonna be landlocked when we're done, so it's,
Well, that's why I sold it.
fair enough.
So the use for the rest of the properties here, or parcels there, or the rest of the parcel will be, could be several years down the road before they decide to do
We're working
anything.
on marketing it,
For never.
marketing it now, that's the idea, is that we don't wanna sit on it, you know, long, or if we get an idea, we're developers, we work with multiple tenants across the state, so it's, you know, we're gonna market it to the people that we know, and we're gonna market it to any available developer in the area as well.
Well, you know, honestly, if you did move that retention pond, if you did subdivide it and make it part of this parcel, and you gave an easement to future developers to have access to that pond, I don't think that would hurt you any.
No,
No.
we would do an ECR for that. Question, I guess the issue is if we push this anymore, I mean, we can probably get, what, 10 extra feet here maybe, without spilling onto the other property?
Well, right now, we need a 20-foot from toe slope to that property
From
line.
this slope right here?
So, we're back at that catch-22. We came in with the consolidation subdivision plan, but the seller didn't, the catch-22 comes into play. So I think maybe our best option now, if they're not willing to allow us to subdivide, is to skinny this up,
Just bring it up here further.
we'll skinny it up, bring it back here further, and still push this back. We get at least 10 feet of more stacking here if we,
Well, I don't know if that's gonna help you a whole lot with the traffic flow. That's really
Mhm.
slow.
Can you turn the retention pond?
Yeah, you want to hold this road.
What?
We went through this with PennDOT
Retention pond, this
on
one,
the access,
so they
Mhm.
still have
and
this.
have done it with multiple sites, because it's a common theme, it's not the first time that
No, I'm saying.
traffic overflow has
And make
been
it
a
like a pond in
question.
the middle there.
And we've done multiple,
The pond from a road.
we can have engineers run, you know, based on the speed of this, based on time spent here, you know,
Because
based on traffic,
you
peak
need
hours,
this part
on the
and
weekend,
part,
and things like
Because
that.
it's not
and
like
they
a
don't
pond.
do it.
If it helps you guys, you know, I can spend a couple dollars and have an engineer say, this is my assessment of it. If that helps you guys, you know, what, I've done it before where he says there's a 0.001% chance that there's spillover, you know, based on the professional expertise. Not saying that that's the, I've seen smaller sites where we have really good, so it's all based on timing and things like that. And we don't want spillover because it looks bad for our brand.
Say again?
We don't want people waiting out here because it's bad for our brand.
Right,
We're also an in-house brand, this is our,
right.
I'm the developer and the tenant, so like, a lot of thought went into how can we maximize the flow of the property.
Does that retention pond, Matt, have to be on the parcel that they're? It has to be on that parcel, the retention pond.
Yes.
Well, if the developer wants you to be there, you should make the there isn't like there's a million people going in to develop this area, you need more room, I would think, to move that back. So he should bend with you a little bit to do it, but again, there's timing, what you're saying to do it, but it seems to me like that should be moved back.
Right now, it's all one parcel, right?
This is a separate parcel.
Well, except the strip in the back.
This little piece is a separate parcel.
Okay,
But for the majority, it is one parcel.
Okay, so why not, you could put the retention pond if it's the same parcel. You could move the
Well, on the
retention pond
side?
over, right?
On the side?
You know, we talked about demographically, and I don't know because it flows to the north, but you can't put the retention pond in the front, can you?
No, because our discharge point's in the back,
There's a creek back
and it's
there.
actually a
Yeah.
creek
Yeah,
that runs through there.
It's on the road there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you're not really putting a retention pond on another parcel, it's all one parcel, it just isn't called in.
No,
Right.
that is a separate parcel in the back.
The
That's
back
only
is,
west.
Yeah.
but I'm
That
saying
strip is.
side,
Yeah, this is ours as well as this. Yeah.
I would consolidate the back piece there and move the retention pond back. Consolidating that piece is no big deal.
Yeah,
If
that's a
you
less-
turn
that's a
that,
lesser of two
turn that
evils,
90
yes.
degrees and put it on this side of where the edge of the green is, on the same parcel of property.
Right here.
Well, no, up in the back there, kind of where it is, right there. And put it there.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, you're reducing the size of the residual lot there,
Mm-hmm.
but if anything goes in there, you're probably gonna be primarily a driveway coming off of that narrow strip to access that landlocked portion there.
Is that retention pond designed for the rest of the property or just what's in color?
Just what's in color.
So this parcel is gonna need a retention pond anyway,
Mm-hmm.
the one on the west of it.
Had you considered putting the pond underground?
We did.
That's not
That
feasible.
would be,
It costs a lot, as well as then it actually, to get that water over to here, it's too flat, because then you're kind of lowering everything.
Yeah, basically move up here to here or raise the side way too, really high.
Yeah.
move everything here back, you can about probably 75 feet anyway. Go back about 9.
This is basically useless to us
I was
here.
just gonna say,
That's
that's
It
dead
is.
space back there.
Absolutely.
It needs to be used.
Mhm.
If we don't use it for detention, it's not gonna be used for anything unless there's access for something back here.
So add that to the development area, move the retention
Yeah.
pond north.
That was
You'll
our
get
original,
an extra 40 feet, maybe.
that was our
40
original
feet.
intent.
But you're saying the present owner of all this land does not wanna do any subdividing
Is
unless,
that the word, or was it just a fact of timing because of how that, I think when we gave them the proposed subdivision plan initially, the signature blocks were wrong or something. Maybe we can,
Well, the signature blocks have to be in the name, their name,
yeah,
not Hutton's name. So that's why they didn't want to sign them,
they,
because they don't want to consolidate it without knowing you'll purchase it and build the car wash.
we did this in sections, if we, which doesn't make sense to do this, but if we just focused on this portion of the property and left the rest alone for now, I could see them.
Oh, that's
being-
true.
I could see them being.
So they just
Because it's
change
dead.
this
Yeah.
piece
Yeah.
anyway,
If
and
I-
that's it.
If I get
They
them
need-
focused
yeah.
just on this area and not the
Okay.
rest of it.
that piece is gonna be wasted. Down the road, it's gonna be wasted.
I like that. They may,
Which means that we're gonna wanna subdivide it again because of all the, puzzle pieces, right? But if I can get them to only focus on
Just
this,
that one.
and I think even if we don't go through it, makes this piece more valuable anyways.
And they just take everything and go
Is
to
there-
the north a little bit.
Mhm.
northwest.
Is it your intention to buy all of that property?
Yes, sir. It's all under contract, and the subdivision plan is in the works. It was just a timing of when can we get in here, when
Step
does
one.
the seller want to
Yeah.
mess with all this property, not knowing, getting a feel from planning commission or anything like that, of how, you know, we're fully invested in the property, right? So I can show him.
There is maybe one other alternative, and that would be to amalgamate all of that and then condominiumize each
Mhm.
section that you're gonna
And our
use.
proposed subdivision does do exactly that, right? It creates this as part of this parcel.
Yes, yes, it
Yeah.
did.
So our proposed plan does this already.
Okay.
But if the proposed plan isn't approved before we get the design approval, then we're just trying to alleviate, as he was saying, working on another parcel until that subdivision's done. If we could condition it, I would gladly go back to him and,
And Matt, can we run these concurrently? Do the subdivision consolidation plan on the same agenda as this and have both approved at the same time?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's gonna require, though, the subdivision will have to come to the planning commission and then the board of supervisors afterwards. So there's gonna be a lull in the approval
Mm-hmm.
of the land development plan if that's the path you choose.
Okay.
but if we could maybe condition today that being done, I'll work on that for next month's agenda. And then we can get that done in, what is it, November?
Mm-hmm.
And then in November, Board of Supervisors would be both items? Is that how that could work?
I think Matt's saying we have to come back
Y-
here in
Yes.
November.
It could go that way, right?
Correct. I will say that the deadline for the November planning commission is coming up. I believe it's Monday, next Monday. So
Next
it's,
month?
yes, it's either I'm sorry, the 18th. So 2 weeks. So it's not a lot of time, but you should be able to get the
Well, how long
plans
will
done.
it take you guys to get your duckies in a row there with, dividing that, short piece on the back there?
Plan-wise, we could do that in a day. It's the coordination with signatures.
It's the signature, so it not only does it have to be signed by the seller, does it also have to be signed by the developer, and then maybe the county and the
The county as
township?
well. The county, and then comes here without signature. The
So-
township will sign that later.
So 3 signatures and then here for final.
Yeah.
How long does it take to get the county signature?
By law, the county has up to 30 days to review a plan.
You know, there's another thing that if you're gonna keep these as separate parcels, that you should think about having cross easements for, you know, in the future for some of these things, so you don't end up having a problem down the road with one of those other parcels.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have to table this?
So, when did you wanna start, doing this?
So what if we designed it here for approval and then worked on this in the background
Mm-hmm.
and then came back with a design change to move it here
Well,
before we broke it, before
we, Gene, can't we recommend it with that thought in mind? Of what it will be like? I mean, we make
But it's,
changes all the
right
time.
now, that part of it's really an unknown, you know?
Well, no, we.
Make
we
it contingent, make it
recommendations,
contingent on that?
Conditions all the time.
And they were planning on doing it anyway, they were planning on having that piece of
Yeah,
parcel
that's
anyway. So make it contingent upon moving that pond, or the retention pond to the north. It's contingent upon everything going in the direction you're gonna go anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of time before I get to break ground on this, and I don't know if you guys do like developers agreements and things like that. If that's part of it, like, you know, with your guys' say-so, I can start working tomorrow on the subdivision. But it would really help me not to wait 2 months before we got land development approval, because that doesn't give a warm fuzzy feeling to the owner of the land, and, you know, then we have to wait 2 more months before we know what's happening with the property. But I
Can
can,
we do it contingent on that land, that parcel being transferred to that?
Consolidate.
Yes, yes, you may make that condition. It would be up to the board of supervisors to impose it.
All right, that's approval
Yeah, but yes, you can make that recommendation.
But if they decided for some reason to reject it, the subdivision change, then we're back to square one.
Correct.
And we'd be delaying beginning anything on it because that would nullify our recommendation, you know, with the contingency that the parcel is going to be purchased or put in there. So everything we do, everything we would approve or recommend tonight will be
All or
a moot
nothing.
point.
Who would be the person that would deny the subdivision,
Supervisors.
the supervisors? But it doesn't seem,
I don't think I'm just saying in the
yeah, and
far stretch that they would do that.
also having that conditional approval from you guys gives me something I can take to the owner
I fully understand
and
that.
say, look, you know, this is moving forward, will you help me with the signatures on the subdivision plans? So we can
Understand
get it
that.
done?
Which are gonna be happy.
Yeah.
So we'd be approving it with the two conditions, one is consolidating, the other is moving everything to the north.
Which would be a
For more
great
stacking.
benefit for you guys.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Well,
any more questions on that part of it?
yeah, I do. Not to belabor it, but if you're gonna go to the trouble to, amalgamate that strip act there with the rest of it, why don't you give some thought to amalgamating the entire project, whatever you wanna call it, all those separate lots, and condominiumizing each one? So you could accomplish the same thing, and you wouldn't have to keep going back time and time, cause you're gonna have to do the same thing all over again next time.
So I don't wanna do it in two parts, but if it
You
helps,
don't wanna,
I don't wanna do it in two separate parts. I would rather subdivide it one time and be done
that's what I'm suggesting, that you merge all of those parcels,
with,
not just those two.
with the recommended based on condition. I think I can get that done.
But I'm
because-
talking about the ones where your hand is too.
I'm
The
sorry?
the other two parts,
The other parcels too,
Yeah, so
all of
there's,
them.
there's a plan to condominiumize this piece.
No,
I believe this piece,
Yes.
and then the rest of this piece.
well, cause you don't know what's gonna end up on these other ones.
No, but we're gonna, instead of having 1, 2 pieces, 3 pieces
Right.
here,
Yeah,
we're
they'd
gonna
all
make
be
this all
one,
one piece.
they'd all be
Okay, I think
one
what he's
piece.
asking is, when you
Including
go to
the
take
car
that
wash.
little piece off, do the whole thing, do them all at the same time, then it's
Yeah.
done.
Absolutely.
Then it's a done deal.
Yeah, that's our.
That's
our
right.
initial
That's
plan.
Is that what you want, Doug? Do it all at the same time.
All at the
Yeah.
same time, re-subdivide the whole thing.
Are you saying that the parcel to the east of the car wash parcel would also be part of the entire complex, or amalgamated
This piece here, so
east of
East,
these,
where the pen is.
where the pen is?
is that what proposed as separate?
That's supposed to be a separate,
That would be a proposed as a
Separate
separate
parcel.
lot.
Why
So
don't
you'd end up
put
with
them all
3
together
parcels
and then
Yeah.
You can
Green one and the
condominiumize.
white one over there and the white, okay, all right,
and the L-shaped.
right.
yeah,
Total of 3.
Awfully small
yeah,
lot.
total of 3.
1, 2, 3,
And I think that
4,
and
5,
I'm not a real estate,
6, you'd have as many as 6 parcels there.
I think that,
Make one parcel and then just condominiumize pieces as you need it.
I think
Then
there's
you
some
don't
real
have
estate
to know
legal
where
stuff
the-
with those, isn't there? If you wanted to sell one to, I don't wanna say Arby's, is
Okay.
already here,
See,
but,
then you don't have
there's
to
some
know where the
issues.
lines will be in the future, cause you can sell off one part of the condominium.
So from my perspective,
I don't know.
having this as one piece is better than preemptively choosing where those lines are.
Correct.
Because it takes away the freedom of a developer to do access
Right.
ways, or if they don't want a piece here, they want it a little bit larger, then we gotta come back and change that line. So I would rather have this piece subdivided alone by its own, and I would rather just sell this piece to somebody else. So they,
Okay,
or.
but the only access and egress for that piece is that small road to the east.
That's correct.
And that's not even a public road, it's just a paper street.
Mhm.
This piece of land is not what we're considering the most valuable piece of property as part of this project.
Then why don't you put the retention pond over there?
Cause everything flows this way.
Yeah,
Well, it can still flow that direction.
Well, it's too flat. I'll take a look at it, but from what, at least from what I remember, this area flows this way, and this area flows this way. So that's why we have it up
I think
here.
it all flows north.
Goes that way?
And the creek is way over to where those houses
Mm-hmm.
are off
And
Peninsula Drive.
What we're trying to do is, take some of this land that flows there, and that's our pre-post, so that's what can come out of here. If we put this over here, I'll take a look at that. I mean, I have no problem doing that. It's just then this property goes away as far as any potential development.
And
I
then
know
you
you
gotta-
don't wanna hear it, but putting the car wash on that property is probably the smartest thing to do.
Then then this
That's-
land becomes nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess right now, what we're looking at is the potential to, the potential to make a recommendation with the contingency that that is added to the property, and then the whole development is moved back as many feet off the road as you get to gain more staging area or whatever coming off the street. Okay. And then there are a few things that are not on these drawings here that need to be, the next time they come around, will need to
Yes.
be there.
Absolutely.
The site distances on 26th Street are not on there yet. The owner and applicant's address and so on needs to be shown located on the plan. The Milford index number is not on there. And nearest fire hydrant with distances is not shown. And the end cap trees, 1, 2, 3, 4
Yes.
areas where trees are required to be shown on the plans.
We agree with those. We'll address those.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, are there any more questions or comments for these two gentlemen? Okay, thank you, guys. Anyone else care to speak? Sir, we'll start with you. You guys your hand up first. Up here, please, and give us your name and address.
My name's Anthony Zanobi. I live at 2745 West 25th Street. Just a couple quick questions without being able to see the drawings. My property is this house here, okay, right behind AT&T next to Arby's.
Okay.
This parcel here, is that what you were speaking of, that was gonna be the landlocked piece? That is not gonna be part of this development?
That's what
Is that
he's,
correct?
that's what he said.
Okay. Okay. And then my other question, without being able to see anything, roughly, okay, so this is gonna be what the current proposal retention pond is all the way back there. Okay. Okay. Yeah, cause my concern is any kind of access that would be from what that, for lack of a better term, undeveloped road is, causing increased traffic, just to the west of my property, but now being able to see that, puts it all into
Anthony, if you
perspective.
look right behind you, there's a colored drawing that shows where he was speaking. Retention pond is in blue, and it shows you the development in color.
All right, that helps tremendously. Thank
Okay,
you very
sure.
much.
Thank you.
Can that road ever be opened up?
Regarding paper streets, that would be a question I'd have to defer to the solicitor on this matter.
That is a paper street though, huh?
You sure
Yeah,
it's a
but
paper street?
if it's a paper street,
I
then,
don't know it is.
I don't know if it is.
I don't.
It's a tree line at the moment, I
I
think.
mean,
Doesn't it-
Horse and buggy, yeah.
Does the road end in the tree
Yes.
line? The road that you're concerned about, the paper road, at the end of the Arby's parking lot, does it end in a tree line?
No, there is a guardrail actually.
Guardrail, okay.
That's right, they put that guardrail up, yes.
People go right around.
I told you, it's the
Is that
tourist.
still more?
Okay, there was a hand up over here somewhere, sir.
I think it is a public street.
You can be next.
It's just never been used this way.
21-year road.
And someone over here too, right? You, okay.
My name is Paul Considine. I'm a member of the Elks Lodge number 67, and I'm here as a member. I'm also a civil engineer. Our concern is a couple things. In reading the way this developer and the mod car wash systems mutually develop each other, is their goal is at some point in time to develop this whole property with multi-businesses, not only the Mod Car Wash, but it could be additional fast foods, it could be whatever, restaurants, it could be stores. And eventually, what is now a porous surface, and this property gets some drainage, is going to eventually become all asphalt and roofs. And the entire area will be subject to draining into a stormwater pond or a subsurface stormwater management plan. That being said, and that's just speculation, we are concerned that, and I don't know, nobody has expressed where the stormwater is actually going to discharge to. And I would like to know that knowledge. Is it going out on 26th Street? Is it going out onto Peninsula Drive? Is it going into that creek? And if it's going into that creek, it presents a problem for the Elks Lodge, because that creek is our property, building property, is right alongside that creek. And any additional flow of stormwater going into that creek under this phase or future phases could undermine and destroy the foundation of our building. So we would like to see more information or some other additional plans as to how our building doesn't get washed away by a discharge from a stormwater pond. That's a concern to us, and we would like that to be considered in your decisions and also in your plan.
Okay, thank you.
Where does that discharge now? Where is it proposed
Yeah,
to discharge?
sure. It discharges into the creek that's running through here. We have a permit with DEP for the NPDES permit, in which we have to show we are matching, if not lowering, the 2-year storm from our property and containing it in this detention pond, as well as showing that we are decreasing all storms as a result of this detention pond, both with DEP and the Mill Creek Stormwater Ordinance.
Okay, where is the creek exactly? Right there, running north and south.
And Paul, where's your property? Are you the foundation of your?
It's that structure there.
It should be the one at the very top.
It's right to the very top there,
Yeah.
Paul, up.
Up, right there, it should be that one. I believe so.
It's the only big building there.
In the Elks parking lot, right next to it.
Yeah, it's the only big building there.
The Elks Club is not on the picture that I can see.
Can't be,
Oh, there
it
could
has to
be.
be.
Farther, yes.
Oh, that's right, it runs right down
Okay,
the
where
side
he's
of the-
pointing to,
This
is that,
is
is
the-
that open creek right there?
This is a
Yep.
beauty shop.
Right down
It's
the
on the
side
map.
of Elks, between
on the
the
Okay.
storage
Wall.
lot or Ginger Fair.
It's a wall.
Runs right-
Mm-hmm.
No, not all of it.
No?
No, the wall is the foundation of the building.
Okay, I'm thinking there's a wall on the inside of the creek, like behind the country fair.
No, that's my property. Okay, Bob Pennock is my name, and I'm one of the owners of Mini Self Storage. And as you all know, if we get 2 inches of rain in a half hour, 40 minutes, this creek will go from bone dry to 9 foot high. As I'm not really concerned, because it would have to be about 12 feet high in order to flood us. My question is when this comes down through here, there's a flip cap, which is nonsense. So when we get a flood, it actually pushes water back into the Elks property, bubbles out of that manhole. My question, Mill Creek needs to do something with the railroad property. If water, if we get a massive flood, it goes down the railroad, it goes this way, comes back, and it backs up to us. I've seen this, believe me, the flowers go from nothing to the top. And running into the country fair. Country fair is the people that should be here, because when this goes over, it's going into their building. You know, my retention ponds are great. Is this built to be triple the amount of water that you people are gonna dump? I mean, our concern is water. You're worried about cars, we're worried about water, and everybody below us should be worried about water.
How many times in the past 20 years has that gone up above 9? I mean, is it?
We've owned self-storages for 16 or 17 years,
Yeah.
and I've seen it probably a dozen times. And then my concern is too, because the wall is there, which I've been trying to figure out who actually owns the wall. Do we own the wall, or does Milk Creek own the wall? Now, you guys come in, we just spent $50-some thousand 10 years ago, had all blacktop. You come in with excavators, dug the creek out on my side, and I'm worried about, you know, my blacktop being tore up. But the next thing is, that wall's pushing. So every year I take a picture of that wall, and I've got it all copied. So that wall's pushing. So if that wall falls over now, is that our problem, or is that Milk Creek's problem? You know, if it's our problem, then we have a real problem, because it'd take an act of Congress to get enough permits and DEPs and EPAs and all that to get it handled. If it's your problem, then I'll sleep better at night.
Do we have any answer on that?
I'd have to do more research.
The water is, well, you guys know that. Water is a massive problem on that creek.
But does it go all the way to the railroad track and then the Napa?
Then it'll back up.
And then from the Napa, it comes up?
Backs up.
Yep.
Yeah, because it goes underneath the bridge.
And I've seen it many a times, many a times.
The reason why that happens is because all the branches end up at the bottom of the viaduct. And the railroad has to come in every once in a while and backhoe all them branches, because that water comes down and takes a sharp right and ends up down into the bay.
Can you come up and, oh,
You need to come up here if you want to talk.
Yeah, yeah. He was next on the list.
I mean, I'm just, water's our concern. You can build whatever you want to build.
Yeah.
That retention pond, if it's big enough and you're gonna tell me that we're gonna get any more water in the creek, build it.
But you already have a problem with the creek as it is. without it.
Absolutely, huge,
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah. And you're saying, the developer is saying that this retention pond is made to trickle into that creek. Is this correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
You're meeting the township and DEP stormwater ordinance requirements. Sorry, I was thinking of, meeting the requirements of the township.
Right, I understand.
I mean, you can build whatever you wanna build, water's our concern. And I can't believe Country Fair doesn't have somebody here, because they are gonna get drowned if it comes up anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
My name is Jerry DeRosa. I'm the fire chief for West Ridge. As far as what he was talking, I understand completely what he's talking about as far as the water goes. We see that constantly. That water goes straight down Peninsula Drive, and as soon as it gets to the railroad tracks, it stops, because there's always branches and stuff that build up right there, and then the railroad comes in once in a while, and they backhoe all that out, and then it flows good again. That takes a hard right where the tracks are, right where the, there's a trestle, right where the trestle is, it takes a hard right. But anyway, my concern is, there's, without looking at, we couldn't see the plans sitting over there, but what I'm wondering about, right where Long John Silver's is and Burger King, we get a fair amount of accidents right there due to the fact that people, you have to come in those establishments from the east and you have to exit to the west. You cannot turn left because you're gonna go against the flow of traffic. So what my concern is more crashes, because we do get a fair amount of accidents right there. And I think if that's set to the north a little bit further, and there's more of a queue area, that might help that out a little bit, but as far as the plans go, I really didn't, like I said, I couldn't see, but does the traffic come in from the east and exit to the west? Is that how that works?
If you look there, if you would be moving the retention pond to the north into
Okay.
that moving that to the north, which is up into that.
To that
empty
other green
spot.
space there, just,
And then it should allow less of a bottleneck at the entrance for ingress and egress.
Okay,
Sure.
because right now, where Arby's is and
Arby's to
Long
the
John
right.
Silver's and Burger King, everybody has to come out, everybody has to come in from the east and out going west.
And it's full, the traffic's full.
Yeah, especially when the turning lane is red, it's all backed up there anyway, and nobody lets anybody out. So now, you might not have a bottleneck going in, but you're gonna have a bottleneck going out.
Do the other stores have right turn only as you exit?
Yeah, you can't turn left.
Yeah, but is there a sign that says right turn? McDonald's.
Yeah, I believe
McDonald's
so.
says that on the other side.
McDonald's is horrible.
Yeah.
It was the
There's an
worst thing in the
accident-
world.
There's an accident there every
Yeah,
other day.
We get more crashes
Isn't that
in front
funny,
of
McDonald's?
McDonald's than we do in Mill Creek Township. But that's another subject. That was a bad move. But anyways, so my concern is, just having more crashes there due to the fact that nobody lets anybody out. And then if you do stack up those cars, where are they gonna go? You know, if you stack them up on the way out, I'm not too worried about going in, but after they're done, if you stack them up on the way out,
Yeah,
there's not gonna be anywhere to go.
which is bad for business.
Because you have to turn right. And like I said, if the light's red, and that light is really long because there's so many directions. And if the light is red, that whole parking lot's gonna be packed full of cars that's waiting to get out that can't. It's just something to think about, okay? Thank you.
Still think we should have an exit on the corner of Princeton Drive.
I do too.
Okay, does anyone else care to speak? Okay, thank you for your input and for your attention. That is the only item on the agenda for tonight. When Pete gets back, I guess we will discuss this amongst ourselves a little bit, and we'll make a motion to either recommend amended to this plan go through or not. We'll have to wait till Pete gets back though. If Pete gets back. Oh, boy. All right. Once again, there, the Mod Wash, 26th Street, the land development plan to show the construction of a car wash with associated parking and stormwater management facilities located along the north line of 26th Street, West 26th Street, East Peninsula Drive and Track 16. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion for approval with condition number one, that they consolidate back strip north of the existing, what's on the plan there, the stormwater pond. And that the second condition would be that the entire development be moved north, away from 26th Street for stacking reasons.
as far as possible.
as far as can be
Yep.
moved. In addition, the 5 items that are on the sheet that you mentioned
Yes.
would be part of the motion. And I think we should also require a right turn only sign out of place.
That's reasonable.
Do we have to address the water problem?
That's what the water retention ponds,
There's nothing we can do?
that's what the pond's for. You
Yeah.
don't have to, that's engineering.
Stormwater's been approved by
Yep.
one engineering firm.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to recommend approval to the supervisors with the contingency of purchasing or changing the property to include that 50 or 80 or whatever, however many feet it is back there, and include that on this parcel here, and move the entire development back as far as possible off of 26th Street. And then the 5 recommendations that are 5 necessary things to go on the drawings that we talked about or mentioned earlier to them. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
You will second it. Now, is there any further discussion amongst the troops here?
Yeah, I'd like you to consider revising your motion, rather than to move that whole development back. I don't see what would be gained by that. It'd be just as easy to have the stacking up, or whatever you wanna call it, back by the retention pond than up by the street. And that, to me, that's unnecessary. If you're gonna move the retention pond back, you don't have to move the building.
Good point.
Yes, if they don't move the building, back, the egress after the car wash, if you look at that, there's about 8 cars that can come out of there. And if there's more than 8 cars, that car wash has to stop.
Yeah, that's true.
And that, if you're going to be pulling into the turning lane onto Peninsula in the middle of summer, which would be car wash season, how many times is that gonna back up?
So what exactly are you proposing?
I don't have a proposal, I just think it's a
Move
valid
this
comment to
back here.
consider.
What I'm
Leave this
suggesting,
where it is, this part of the development where it is,
retention pond back.
and
the building.
extend this here
I'm not suggesting that,
part back to allow more cars to be back here.
rather than up front. I
What
don't
do you
see
think
what
of
you
that?
gain by forcing them to move the building further south when all,
North.
no, you're suggesting, you're suggesting moving it further north. What I'm saying is, that's an unfair burden to them, I think, because if you put this extra parking or whatever you wanna call it between the building and the retention pond by moving the pond north, you've accomplished the same thing without making them move the building further north too.
Right, moving it back
I
is just
see
gonna
what you
extend
mean.
the front yard here, making it wider this
Right.
way.
And there'd be less congestion up by the street by doing it that way than there would be by having it in the back.
Do you guys understand what he said there, saying there?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
I don't
I think
understand
so.
what you're saying, Doug.
Okay,
I think he's looking just to push this area back.
make that area larger.
No, what the original motion was, is moving everything north.
Mhm.
What I'm hoping that he'll do, or concede to, is just moving the retention pond north and leaving the rest of the building where it is.
Extending this portion on, opening up room here.
Yeah, just move the retention pond north,
Okay.
and
And
then
it
that
gives you more
area,
room.
that 40 feet that you pick up can be for cars to stack up, or whatever you wanna call it, rather than have them up close to 26th Street doing.
So then make this,
But
make
you've
this
got 3
pavement.
lanes in the back.
Where your
Not gonna
area
have one
widens,
lane.
where your area widens out here, okay, could continue on up through here, and these could actually, these kiosks, these could be moved over
I'm
this way.
not gonna
if you
amend my
want.
motion.
I disagree because the bottleneck is at the entrance,
You're saying,
in and
Bottlenecks at
out.
the entrance.
I think you'd create a greater bottleneck at the entrance by doing that, by moving the building north.
90% of your cars are gonna be coming here, exiting here, not here. Because they're gonna use the vacuum service, 90 to 95%.
Eventually, they will work their way out. And when they go to work their way out, the 24 by 30-foot area is not 24. How many cars can you put deep in 24? 2?
None, one.
So it's timing them, it's letting them in at a certain rate, right? So they're going in continuously, one car goes in, the next one goes, let's see, then they're coming in here, they're not continuously pouring through and coming out. They're coming in here, they're spending 5 minutes, they're spending 15 minutes, and leaving at different times.
They are leaving at different times, but you're only allowed to two cars.
Spend 5 minutes in here just.
Two cars either come in or come in, keep on moving. But on the egress, you've got two cars sitting here. You need to have this moved back.
But,
This stacks up all the way back here.
but you're right, your initial thing was right. It's
The major,
situated wrong on the property.
I think you're saying that the major amount of people are gonna go this way and come out back here.
If it went this way,
Exactly.
Yes.
And, because, you know, they want to be closer to the street so they can be safe and everything else. You're gonna impose something on them.
they do realize there was a motion on the floor.
I think,
Well, he asked for discussion.
Eliminate this.
I know.
Actually, we would
would that be
prefer,
better?
we would prefer to eliminate this.
Yours is colored.
So get rid of this. So these cars would all have to come through
And
here.
then they're queuing up all the way down.
And then they're queuing up all the way down.
But that may be,
there's a Tesla in there.
I sure hope it has enough
Something
charge
you
to
have to
wait.
wash
I
that.
sure hope it has enough charge to wait that long.
I don't care what they.
Better put a charger there for them, huh?
I think that's,
That goes.
We can eliminate that egress.
And that, now
Forces
you have the
traffic to
cars
flow.
that run the whole length of the
Good luck.
property to come in
like
and go out.
Because I don't want patrons to come in and just go to the, try to get the vacuums, right? I don't want them to mistake going in here anyways.
But it does stop.
We can eliminate this
I really
completely
think
and
I'd
site
like to
plan
see
works
an
just
master
as
plan
intended.
for the whole
Then it
pond.
shoots them all the way
I don't
down
think
the
they have
kind of
one.
relevant about the
yeah,
pond.
and then you have all that
Gives them
stacking.
the whole length
I don't
of
think
the
anything will
property
ever
to
go
come
in there.
and out and stack the cars.
Over here might.
If they're queuing up this
But
far,
nothing's
we
free.
have businesses
Nothing's
really
ever-
good. I mean, they're not, you know, it's.
Yeah, no, I understood what you were saying.
Okay,
You know, you have
Doug, if they do that and eliminate that front entrance or front exit on the side, you know, coming into the main, you know what we're talking about?
yeah, I don't understand why that would mean anything.
It would, because it'd force everybody back through that little parking lot deal to the back to come out, and there's, you have a longer space, a lot longer space for a line of cars
Sneak around.
exiting the
Same
building.
thing that moving the pond would do.
And with them controlling the amount of cars that can get through the car wash, if they start seeing a bottleneck, they can slow that down or shut it down for a couple minutes till a couple of cars get the heck out of the way. All right? The same as they do at all other
I was
car
gonna say, they
washes.
do that at Delta Sonic all the time.
Yep.
They're still intending, to intrude on that other parcel to the north and making it part of this. They've still gotta go through that subdivision. So what would be gained by doing that? They don't need it if you're gonna do what you're talking about.
This is overall just a good improvement in general, I think.
Yes.
I would propose we do this whether or not you guys ask us to do it, just because it eliminates the conflict here.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's gonna be a bad point right there.
40-foot parcel in the back.
Dave, the reason why we wanted to back everything up was to not bottleneck.
No, I
And if
agree.
they eliminate that one parcel and shoot everybody up, you've got the whole length of the property. 1/3 of the property will be the ingress and egress. So there's no reason to make the pond anymore.
But then why do they need that other 40 feet to the north of the pond? You aren't gonna move it.
To move the whole thing back to allow for more space on the long stretch of driveway there.
Which isn't if they eliminate that one parcel in front, that one piece, eliminate the ability to egress. If they eliminate that, it seems like it gives everybody what they want.
what I'm saying is if you don't move the pond, what do you need that parcel to the north for?
You don't anymore.
We don't.
It's relevant.
Not if you don't move the pond.
Correct, okay.
So all you need to do,
So, yeah, it's just green
It could,
space.
it could give us the, for future expansion, we can
right,
make it a larger pond if we need to share it with the rest of the development.
That's
So
true
it's just
too.
more flexibility, it keeps, you know.
yeah.
But you can do that this way also to the east, or west, I mean, a little bit eventually
need
too, if you had to.
Yeah.
Okay, I will
That
amend
little
my-
Wait, wait.
portion up there, that or rectangular portion of green there is lost land.
Right, it's part of the purchase agreement, so we have
Right.
it, but
But once you subdivide the whole thing, like you're planning on doing eventually, that becomes useless for, except for planting soybeans.
It'll be part of their lease to maintain that portion of it. So
Right.
you don't need to worry about it just going nowhere, they're still responsible for it. But again, it could be used for future expansion if this has to be larger at some point, if they need to do improvements.
It wouldn't hurt for you to put a larger retention pond with the water problems. It wouldn't hurt for you to put a larger retention pond with the potential water problems they have there.
Over engineering.
yeah, we did get stormwater comments that we have to address. And
Yeah.
I think that will result in this getting a little bigger anyway.
Okay, so if you moved it back to as far as you can back on that strip, additional strip there, and then whatever you can do to move the rest of everything back to allow more space on this long driveway, this in and out driveway here. It's a, I won't say it's a win-win, but it's a improvement on everything. You're not gonna expand the detention or retention pond to be twice as large as it is, I'm sure. I mean, that's fairly large right now. You wouldn't
Yeah,
wanna,
I guess it all depends on what comes in that wants to use it, or, you know, we don't know what it will be in the end, so
they may have to have their
having
own,
the flexibility.
they may have to have their own other parcels.
They could
Yeah.
need their own.
Yep, that's probably would be the
They may have to
recommendation
go
anyway.
around and make additional improvements, but,
Yep.
you know, that's.
Mr. Chairman, can Mr. Scully restate his comment? I've lost, I forgot what you said.
I'm sorry,
I
what?
will,
I forgot what Dave
I
said.
will, based on all of this information, I will amend my motion to approve the subdivision with a condition that you take that little strip out of there, immediately to the right of the entrance, so that the cars will circumnavigate through the development for stacking reasons. No need to consolidate the strip in the back, that's not part of the motion anymore.
And I'll second that.
And the 5 out.
Oh, and I'll second.
No, well,
I'll second.
Lynn already seconded, you have to agree to it.
I agree. I knew that, but everybody else was.
So you're saying leave that, this here as part of this
You know, I have
whole
worked
rest of
quite a
this
few
whole
meetings.
As proposed. Because there's plenty of stacking now.
Yeah.
Cars
Yeah.
snaking through it.
Could you add to that, considering, making that retention pond as large as possible for water problems?
Wouldn't that engineering?
We could, we'll still have to.
Engineering does that.
Engineering,
That's your job.
Forget, never mind.
It's all, their detention pond's already been approved, correct?
It- It's, we have comments that we need to address.
Oh, okay, all right,
But we will
all
address.
right. Okay. So you're saying, what's your recommendation or your motion is, eliminate that, leave this the way it is. Okay.
That's my motion.
Does everybody understand that?
Yep. Yes.
And the
Okay.
5 other things we have.
And the 5 other things that, yes.
Dave, your prior motion had the right turn, the sign as well?
Yes, plus we had the right turn sign.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, right turn sign.
Right turn only.
And right turn only.
He's adding to his motion.
Right turn only on the way out.
Right turn
Do I
on
have
the
to
sign.
second that too?
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor, we have a second, right?
Yes. I just-
Okay. Are there any further discussions? Okay, all in favor of the motion as it's written right now, or as it stands right now? Please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose this? Okay, you just got off the hook for making the subdivision. If the supervisors approve it.
Yeah. Meeting of the minds.
Oh boy, that was a tough one. Okay, very good, thank you,
It was
gentlemen.
interesting.
And thank you folks for being patient with us tonight. That, was a little bit longer than we planned on it being, I guess, but it was worthwhile. Okay, other business for tonight is the Milford Township zoning ordinance update. Sir?
Yes. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here to give you the update on the Mill Creek Township zoning ordinance update. We basically have spent 40 hours with the solicitor polishing the bulk of it. We're still compiling comments, and we hope to address the comments for the zoning ordinance with the supervisors later this week.
Okay.
Yep. So if everything
Anybody
goes well.
Questions or comments from anybody?
I was gonna add is if everything, what's that? Regarding the zoning ordinance, we've been with the township solicitor for about 40 hours, going over like the fine-tooth details of the ordinance. We're at the point where we're still in the process of compiling comments that were submitted for the zoning ordinance. So we're gonna go over the comments on the zoning ordinance with the Board of Supervisors later this week and make tweaks as required, or as necessary.
And are you still accepting comments?
Yes, yes, we are still accepting comments up until the public comment period ends, which actually has not officially started, so we're still.
And what are those dates?
If everything goes smoothly, the public comment period will begin October 14th, and it's a 30-day comment period. So that would end November 11th, I believe.
And are those comments made by email or letter?
They have to be in writing, but writing can be email, letter, otherwise. And I guess you could send me a fax. And I will need your name for the record.
Oh, my name?
Yes,
Patricia Demons,
and your address as well.
5227 Jason Drive.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay. Anyone else care to ask a question? Sir, ask him. Give us your name and address here, if you would, please.
You want me up here?
Yeah, you can be.
Good evening, I'm Mark Kress. I live at 5218 Jason Drive, which is in Love Farm. If you're not familiar, it's between Zimmerly and Love Road. When my wife and I bought our home in 2016 for $207,000, we knew that other properties along Zimmerly, which were big estates, could potentially be sold for development. I have no problem with that. But the zoning was rural residential, which puts certain controls on what can be done. Some of my neighbors who live across the street, who are here tonight, also have properties that abut what was the Pastore property, which we understand has recently been sold. So our concern is, and I've already submitted written comments, but I just want to make sure, since I have a chance to talk with you all personally, that you understand that this concept of conservation residential, which sounds like a park, but on paper looks like multifamily development, is not really the right development for Zimmerly Road between Old Zook and Love Road. In the proposed design, all of the properties that front that road, Zimmerly Road, and are fairly close, you've also proposed, like Love Farm, to go to single family residential. But you're proposing this conservation residential for all the other large plots. That property should all be single-family residential. I don't care if somebody decides to buy it and build homes up there, but I'm concerned about multifamily. The noise, the extra light, the amount of traffic on Zimmerly. And we all know we've been planning Zook Road and Zimmerly Road to grow. We know there's properties for sale, people are developing those things. I get it. My only recourse is to get you to agree that that property on Zimmerly Road from Old Zuck to Love should be single-family residential. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
My name's Jack Fessick. I live on 2253 Zimmerly. My question is really simple. We had submitted comments. We're on the dead end section of Zimmerly. I don't know if you came to look to see if you can move into the empty house yet. It's on the road. It's a nice neighborhood. Is there going to be a copy of the new proposed map? Because we put our recommendations in that we would see if any change was made prior to the vote for the supervisors?
Yes, when the changes are made, the zoning map will be updated and shown online.
Okay, and if those aren't acceptable to us or aren't what we would like?
I would contact you.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir.
We did.
Okay. Thank you, folks. Oops, I'm sorry.
Since I sat down before, I'll just come up here again. Pat Neiman's, from Jason Drive. And I'm thinking that a lot of the other people who are here from Jason Drive or from Love Farm would agree wholeheartedly with what Mark Kress just said about the noise, the traffic, the possible through street on Dominic from Love to Lancaster, which we had a meeting with in our neighborhood in May, I believe it was. We all voiced our opinions there. There were at least 50 people there to voice our opinions about how we feel about that not being a good idea, having a through street from Lancaster to Love Road on Dominic Road, which runs which is in Love Farm. And the multifamily residents that are listed in the new conservation residential district, duplex dwelling, multifamily dwellings, single-family attached dwellings, were not in the original zoning, and we feel very strongly that they do not belong there now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Trish Denisha. I'm at 3621 Dominic Drive. I also was at that meeting in, I believe it was May, where they talked about running the road through. And one thing I heard, which I believe I heard, was they were saying it was a safety reason that we only had 2 exits in our plan. But after I left, I realized there's Camelot at Mill Creek, which only has 1 exit. And there's Westbury Ridge, which is in Mill Creek, that only has 1 exit. And so I'm wondering why there needs to be 3. It's a very busy street as it is, so I don't see why there needs to be connectivity between a neighborhood if there isn't a 3. That's all.
Thank you. Okay. All right, next item then on the agenda, the last item on the agenda, if I can find it here, is there we go. Possible amendment to the bylaws, the planning commission bylaws, to change the time of the regular meetings. It has been proposed, or I should say, we have a choice of anywhere between 5:30, I'm sorry, for the regular meeting, 6 o'clock, changed from 7 o'clock to 6 or 6:30, with the pre-meeting at 5:30 or 6:30 like it is right now. We have to come to some consensus here and make a motion to either change it or leave it the way it is. It will begin at the beginning of the year, 2022, and but we have to decide this tonight. Did you look up Scott's stuff?
I did not.
Okay. And it might become a moot point. I mean, it really is only if it comes down to a pretty close thing here, you know. So, do we wanna have any discussion on this, or just, somebody make a proposal, or make a motion to change the time, or make a motion to leave the time the way it is?
I'd like to make a motion that we move the time to 5:30.
5:30 for our,
For this meeting.
okay, but
Then our meeting would be at 5?
Yes.
this meeting at 5:30, our meeting at 5. Okay? You're making that motion, right? Is anybody seconding that motion, emotion?
I would second that.
Okay, discussion. That's what the supervisors have right now. You said they have a 5:30 meeting.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
That's a question.
Oh.
Yes, I believe they are moving,
So it'd be consistent with
Next
what
year.
they've done.
correct.
They're moving their 7 o'clock meeting to 5:30.
From my understanding, yes.
You get that off of Facebook?
Is that tough for you, Gene?
Well, it could be, but I will work I have to work myself around that.
Is it hard? I mean, it says another half an hour, that big of a difference?
No,
Okay.
no.
Then I would second if there is
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to change the regular business meeting to 5:30 on the first Tuesday of the month, beginning in January of 2022. And we have a second for that motion, correct?
Yes.
Yes, we do
Paul,
have.
Paul
He
seconded.
seconded it as
Now
well.
3 times.
Okay. Any further discussion on it? All in favor of having our meeting at 5 and the regular meeting at 5:30?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So be it.
So is that 4? I was gonna say, I'm gonna call the vote, Mr. Chairman. How'd you
Pardon me?
vote? Mr. Chairman, you didn't vote, did you?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Cabea?
Aye.
Mr. Scully? Ms. McCabe?
Aye.
Mr. Sitter?
Aye.
Mr. Prozan?
Aye.
Mr. Reed? Okay.
You've made me a happy woman.
So we don't need Scott's input. Whatever it is.
He abstained.
Okay, I want to make a motion, or entertain a motion to adjourn.
So be it.
Second.
Second the motion. All in favor of adjournment? Aye. Anyone opposed? We stand adjourned at 8:32.